I moved to New York many, many years ago for one reason, to be in a Broadway show. I'm not sure if you're familiar with my career, but this is the dream come true finally after all this time. The dream really is for me to sing and say things that have never been sung and said before by another voice. And so the dream just keeps coming true along the way. Just the demo is the dream, because you're like, nobody ever sang that song before. I got the first crack at it, you know. And the fact that it's kind of keeps growing up one little step at a time, I really couldn't ask for anything more or be happier. How many times have I heard, Hazel, can't you find somebody? What on earth you waiting for? Finally I found the answer right when we said goodnight at my door. So, go on and ask me where my guy can be. Of all the luck, guess what? He just happened to me.
Well, this is very, very special and exciting, because for the first time, I think, ever, I'm sitting with the entire creative team of a brand new musical. And this musical is called Hazel. It's going to be opening in Chicago at the Drury Lane. This is Ron Abel, who did the music, Chuck Steffen, who did the lyrics, the star, Clea Blackhurst, who plays Hazel, Lissa Levin, who did the book, and Josh Bergass, who is the director. So, wow, I mean, I don't even know where to start. Usually it's a one-on-one here. So, do you want to tell us how you and Chuck got interested in beginning to write this to begin with, and how Lissa got into the fold, etc.? I'm going to just turn it over to you.
Sure. A number of years ago, we were approached by someone just to think about musicals and what might be appealing to her, not Clea, but the inspiration for this. And we came to her with like 3 ideas. And Hazel, literally, I'm speaking for him, but he said he had never thought of the show in like years. And he said, thinking of this particular artist. Decades. He just said Hazel. And we had a couple of other ideas, but Hazel was the one that really piqued her interest. So that's how it began. We would have never thought of it otherwise. And then when it came time to write the book, Chuck said Lissa was the only person he wanted to do it. Lissa and I had written another musical called Twist of Fate, which she won the Kleban Award for.
Oh, wow. That's
so,
a big award.
yes. So, and she blessedly said yes to this. So that's how it all began. And then...
And this was a TV show out of the 50s?
60s.
When you could actually refer to your housekeeper as a maid, which if I did that today, I'd get slapped.
Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. The subtitle for the show, is that the right word? Subtitle is Hazel, a musical made in America.
Oh, I love
so
it. Okay.
we're keeping that sort of alive for it. But yeah.
I'm going to tell you what to say. No, but it's also, I think, in my experience talking about it, a lot of people don't realize that Hazel was actually a comic, a single panel comic in the Saturday
comic strip.
No.
She just a comic single panel comic strip.
It wasn't a whole strip.
It was the whole page on it, but it was a single panel.
Oh, okay.
So it was in the Saturday Evening Post, correct? The back page. And so she was very popular in the 40s and 50s, and then the television series with Shirley Booth is in the 60s. That's sort of its next incarnation, and this will be its next incarnation after that.
Oh my goodness.
And Ted Key, who created the character in the comic, always wanted her to be a musical. So, and we got to know him right before he died. He was like 94, I think, when he died.
Wow.
And we started speaking to him around when he was 90. He was 92, taking care of his invalid wife, who was 94, when we first talked to her.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wonderful man, though. Great personality, just alive and
But also that even though it's set in the 60s and based on a cartoon of the 40s, to take something and the show has a modern sensibility. So in terms of everything, in terms of the music, in terms of the set pieces, in terms of the comedy, and it is definitely a comedy, it has a modern sensibility, which we are so incredibly thrilled to have this man to execute that.
I think that's right. I think that's what's so exciting about it, and what drew me to it is when I got to hear the score, which is, it's really wonderful, and it's got so many different styles of music, and feels contemporary. It doesn't feel dated, doesn't feel like a period piece at all. And then with the writing, which is so smart and clever and funny, it really feels like something that we want to do today. And so that's the approach for this production, with all the design elements, and as we go through and just trying to make it smarter and more contemporary, and a piece that appeals to people today.
The official opening night in Chicago is
Official opening night is April 6th at the Drury Lane Theater.
But when did previews start?
In Oak Brook Terrace. It's right outside of Chicago. It's part of Chicago. It's just like right, a suburb.
And it runs till...
It runs till May 31st?
May 29th.
May 29th. May 29th.
Last day of May.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
And the previews obviously start
March 31st, I believe. The first preview is March 31st. Ever since we've now been in having readings in the lab and now going into production, it's evident to everybody who's seen that it was the role that she was born to play. That she,
I agree
it is
Not
just.
that she was born.
just for you.
But it's hard. It's hard to envision having now
Anybody else?
start this role off. It's just amazing. I mean, everybody says it. It's just incredible.
Well, and I suppose that at this point, if you're rewriting anything new, that she's like an inspiration that, you hear her in your head.
Well, how lucky am I as a composer that that's the voice that I get to write for. Hello. Yeah. So.
The script just made me so happy, and I felt like, as I was reading the first page, I'm like, they did not have any, this has nothing to do with me, but this is me. And their roles come along, we all know any number of people could play things, because that's life and that's show business, but I know nobody could do it better. So, and that's not a statement I say easily. I mean, there's a lot of things that come and go, but this one is like, oh, I know how to say what she says, and she was writing it before there was me to say it. So I know that that's a good match.
But all the better that we have you, because to be able to now shape it even further, with your just incredible speaking and singing voice and warmth in our heads, and to switch seamlessly from comedy to heart to poignancy over and over again without a hitch. It's an extraordinary ability.
I'm really excited because Ron and Chuck just wrote a new song for Clea that we heard in its entirety, I think, for the first time yesterday. And was that your first time hearing it? Yeah. And we are all just dying to hear Clea sing it now. Not that Ron was bad at all, but it's just so exciting to see these guys write songs for her now, knowing exactly who's doing it, and watching the piece evolve that way.
Guys like he can, gals like me can. Ain't it funny how it starts? One moment so rare comes out of nowhere, and you meet that someone you were hoping would come along and bust your heart wide open. I know how it feels, 'cause he just